Welcome to Q&A, Questions Need Answers. I'm your host, James Munch II. Most people just call me Munch. And this is a show where we talk about community, culture, and politics. We invite honest conversation, critical thinking, and community dialogue. So today on the show, we have candidate for Miami Gardens with a seat.
C4.
Seat 4, okay, of Miami Gardens, Rod Mack. Okay, so I'm excited to get in this conversation because I think we share a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
You know, I found out you actually play at the U. I always want to play at the U. Didn't happen. I think I wasn't big enough. They stopped recruiting Miami cats. That's gonna be my life for the day. Okay, they stopped recruiting Miami boys at a certain point in time. Okay, y'all made it hard for us coming up after y'all. And we play the same position, linebacker. Yeah. So you know, I think we got a lot in common. But let the people know who you are. A little bit about yourself.
Like you said, my name is Rod Mack. I'm running for Miami Gardens City Council C4. I'm from the area, grew up in Miami Gardens. It was Carol City when I grew up there. Went to elementary school, then I went to Myrtle Grove Elementary, went to Parkway and Lake Stevens Middle. I graduated from Pace High School. Football scholarship, went to the University of Miami, graduated dual degree in finance and business management, worked in finance for a long time and transitioned to just being an entrepreneur. Served the community for a very long time, man. Started a youth program that is, you know, the most successful volunteer effort in the city of Miami Gardens, the most successful youth football program in the country. We have more kids that do go further than anyone else, and it just led me to where we are now. Love to serve.
You got to state the name so people know.
Oh, the Miami Gardens Ravens.
Oh, okay.
The Miami Gardens Ravens.
Yeah, that's dope, man. You know, because I feel some type of way. I came from the city, you know, optimist.
Yeah, you know.
You know, so, but it's amazing to see what, you know, the Miami Gardens Ravens, the brand of the Miami Gardens Ravens have been able to do. So
absolutely.
Talk about your time. So did you do that, talk about that transition from football to, you know, I guess when you started the youth program.
So, like I played in college. One of the best things that happened to me at the time, I didn't look at it that way, but I got hurt early enough to understand that football was not going to be the end all be all for me. And so it allowed me to focus on academics, you know, really put a lot of effort in that area. You know, I was always a pretty good student, but, you know, I understood I had to put focus on it. And so while I was playing in college, I interned as well. I was playing ball and I had internships. So I was interning at Payne Weber at the time, which was a large financial company. And so when I graduated, it allowed me to go right into the financial world. I went to New York for a while, worked there, trained there, worked with just business owners, came back home and started working with professional athletes. Some of my ex-teammates went on to the NFL. Some of them asked me for my help, and it just kind of grew as a business. And I focused in that area. During that time, you know, built my family. I had a young son, and when he wanted to play football, it's only one place that we're gonna play it, you know. And I took him to some of my friends that was coaching in the community at the time, and it was the Miami Gardens Chargers at the time. And so from there, you know, we had to start a new program, and it was the Miami Gardens. I came up with the Ravens. It was me and someone else came up with the Ravens. I wanted to be the Browns, to be honest with you, but came with the Miami Gardens Ravens, and
I don't think it would have hit the same.
I think the story of the Browns is different. I'll tell you that later, but, you know, just I thought the Browns was named after, you know, the Brown Bomber. That's why I wanted to do it, just because of that history of that. That's why I wanted to do it. But we came with the Ravens. There was no other Ravens at the time, and it was in the community, the park I grew up in. I grew up on that park, and when I grew up there, we didn't have youth football in that area, in that part of the Miami Gardens. We didn't have football coming up. So I played.
What was that area?
So it's the Myrtle Grove, just on that side of Miami Gardens. We didn't have it. Just on that south side of 183rd Street and just, you know, west of 27th Avenue. Just that area, we just didn't have anything. Bunch Park had some on the north side. Carol City had it. Scott Park was on out west and in North Dade. I played for North Dade coming up, so I just have to catch a bus. Yeah. So we didn't have it in where I grew up at. So to be able to come back and put it there, once I took my son to play, I remember, you know, sometimes, and I say this a lot, sometimes we forget, you know, the struggles when you get so far removed from it, and I was far removed from it. You know, it was so long since I had been involved in youth sports. I got to college and was able to get as many pair of cleats as I want, you know, get all that stuff. And you forget sometimes that coming up, I had one pair of cleats for 3 years. You know what I'm saying? And so when I came back home, those same struggles was still there. And I gravitated to it. So I just started putting my money where my mouth is. I started buying uniforms, sponsoring teams, doing those things. And from that time, you know, just built that following, and people started the program, and it went from there. So, and we became successful, man. The program don't belong to me. I say it belongs to the people who bring their kids, and we've had the opportunity, like in the playoffs, we had in that game between Miami and Ohio State, we had over 10 kids in that game alone. You know, we had 7, 8 kids play for the national championship. You know, just from here, we had so many kids. So just from our program, kids that's been there since little kids. So we've been successful. You know, we've been very, very, very successful. And right now, probably the most recognizable youth player in the country is the Miami Garden Ravens, a Raven. Last year in college, the most recognizable offense and defensive player, Jeremiah Smith and Ruben Bain, played in our program. You had some of the most recognizable high school players as well played in our program. Calvin Russell played in our program. So all these kids, it's been a blessing, man, just to give back to the community, and it just shows what we can do when we all, you know, we come together and just build a family-oriented type thing. So
I don't know the kid name, but I know in Georgia he put up a game. I think it was number 3.
It's everywhere. Yeah. He's special. Yeah,
I've been seeing him on social media lately. Talk about, I guess, the early. We'll go here. What did you learn in that experience of building a youth program?
Man, I learned a lot, man. I learned just really, you know, you start doing stuff like that, man, and you got to get people together. I learned to get people involved more than anything. I learned that if you want to make it and you want to make it successful, like you have to be able to delegate, and you have to be able to get different people from different because you're on the park, you got different family groups, different people, little cliques, should I say. So I learned to get different people from these cliques involved to work together. And that's where we always been successful, because a lot of times you got to grab from this group and this sect, and hey, let's all come together. And I learned to do that early, you know what I mean? And I learned that, you know, kids want to, you know, especially young males, man, they want to be successful. They want to prove themselves to us. And so for me, it all started with may sound cliche, but with love. You know, first you gotta let them know you love them. You show these young boys that you love them. Then you can coach them as hard as you want to. You can discipline them, and they'll run through a wall. But you got to show them you love them first. You know, and make them trust you. Once you do that, it's easy. And I learned that early.
So. Yeah, my experience playing ball at Liberty City, we from Sam to the coaches to we knew like it was different. You know, they instilled so many life lessons that I carry to this day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just talk about that experience of like, I guess like pouring into them on a daily basis. Like you say, you got 10 kids, Miami, Ohio State, 7 to 8 kids that was in the national championship game.
So I'm gonna say this, and you mentioned the name, man, Sam Johnson. When I first got into youth sports, I was a young dude. You know what I mean? I was young. And just said this is something I wanted to do, and really didn't understand it. And there was 4 guys like, you know, Sam and Mr. Washington at Overtime and Kenny Wilcox. Yeah, these guys, they was older for the club. These was older dudes, and they saw me as a young guy. So they gave me so much game. They gave me so much knowledge, and they gave just so much of how to do it. So I had the opportunity to learn fast because I was willing to learn, and they would call me, and they took all the time with me. So a lot of lessons that I learned, probably the same thing you learned, because those guys gave it to me, and I learned a lot from them because I was just a young guy trying to do it. But for us, number one, you know, we start with discipline and accountability, bro. You know what I mean? So you got to be accountable, and a lot of times I have meetings with the parents, and I make it be known I'm not coaching your child. I'm coaching a young man, and I'm trying to prepare him for this world. You know, the world that's a little tougher and sometimes unfair to black and brown young men. You know, and so we learn to to not just compete in that environment, but to thrive in it. And so a lot of what we teaching is football, just a conduit for us to be able to grab these kids. So we teaching them a lot about life. So talent is one thing. It's a lot of talent, but we trying to coach or raise the young man as a person, so that way he learns to be able to adapt to different environments, learn to work hard, learn to be goal oriented, put team first. So all the same things. And if we can get them and reach them in that way, they can be successful.
Have you been able to infuse, I guess, your background from finance and business into Miami Gardens Ravens, like any type of financial literacy, anything like that?
Yeah, so we've done financial literacy, but more than anything, I focus a lot on literacy. So for us, we always find books. So we have a book club with my team. So we found different books for us to read. We buy the books and have the kids read. I did a lot of Sister Soldier. We did a lot of Midnight, just because I don't know if you're probably familiar, but we did a lot of reading Sister Soldier Midnight books, because I felt like it was something that they can gravitate to. First, you gotta give them something, because for me, the first book that made me fall in love with reading was Make Me Want to Holler by a thing called. So, because I read that book and it had a lot of ways I grew up, I can relate to that. And so from there, I was then able to read different things that maybe that didn't relate to my life, but it had to start there. So for me with the kids, I always wanted to start them in that area, get them something that they can gravitate, they can learn from, and then go from there.
So talking about, how you grew up, like talk about the Carol City you grew up in.
Man, so
because I'm not gonna say Miami Gardens, I'm gonna say Carol City. That's what I remember.
You gotta say Carol City. I'm in a different space now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say Miami Gardens, the great city of Miami Gardens. But it was, I think it's important, and obviously we here and I'm running, and it's important for people to understand, like, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it. But when I say I'm from Miami Gardens, I'm the kid that grew up in the summer program. I'm the kid that got the cold lunch. I'm the kid that walked to the frozen cup lady house. You know what I mean? That's how I grew up, and I'm from that part of Miami Gardens. Miami Gardens, it was Carol City then. I think it was always very different depending on, what area you live in. I'm from, just from the west side of Miami Gardens, and that side was, when you talk about maybe close to the east side, it was a lot of, it was principals and people that lived over our side was really working class. So I'm like really working class. We come from a household where, it was a bunch of us grew up in the house. We was first generation from the projects, you know what I mean, to there. My grandparents were fortunate enough to get us over there, and we grew up in that way. So that's the Miami Gardens I grew up in, where people, families was working, and sometimes kids had to raise themselves just because of the, trying to keep the house.
Yeah. So what made you want to jump into politics?
Man, mainly, I've been so involved in the community, and it was been more than just football. And I've been the person to go to schools for a lot of these kids' parents needed it. I've been there for grief counseling when parents who lost loved ones. So I've been involved with the, just because we've been so involved with the youth, I've been involved with the grandparents and the parents as well in the family. And I see a lot of the struggles, so I'm gonna start there, seeing those struggles and understanding, coming from a business background and being in areas and watch the way Dade County itself is evolving and changing. And that change is coming to Miami Gardens. And it's going to come regardless of what me or not, that change is going to happen. I just want to make sure it benefit the people who've been there. I want to make sure the people who live in that community, the people that call Miami Gardens home right now, benefit from that change. So as it grows, that those jobs that's coming, the people in Miami Gardens have opportunity to get those jobs, whether it be skilled labor, whether it be, it's from new development. I want the people that's in that community, that call that community home, I want them to benefit from that change. So that was the catalyst that made me want to do this.
All right. Obviously because but maybe. Some people start a lot of programs and they rarely go down to like City Hall and whatnot. So how many times prior to you running have you been to like City Hall and been engaged, or I don't know how to structure like the committees and whatnot. Have you been a part of any type of committees or anything like the youth councils or anything like that?
So I would go to City Hall when we had issues or be involved in that area. But my ministry, man, has been out there with the kids, to be honest with you. That's been a full-time job per se for me. You know, it's something that I had a passion about, and again, like I say, so when you as serious about it as I have been, it starts with with football, but it grows to outside of that. It comes to being a foster parent. It comes to be tutor. It comes a lot comes with that, and I embraced all of it and I enjoyed it. So I've been involved in that way, just really grassroots. So we talk on the grassroots level. That's where I've been at.
Yeah, because like the only reason I asked that is because like I see myself as one of them people. We call them the grunt folks because we at the bottom, we at the ground level.
Yeah, we
got and it's a different. The reason I ask is because it's a different realm when you have to be in that seat, and they kind of pull you away from being, with the people as much as you want to. So that's why I always ask, and then that natural transition of having to maneuver through, policy and all these things for the city. So that's the only reason.
I got it. I understand. For me, I just feel like, man, I've had opportunities. I've been in corporate America. I've had opportunity to work in corporate America. I had opportunities to be in a lot of different rooms. But when I left those rooms, I always came right back to where I'm from. And I say this because I'm proud of it. A lot of times we get a lot of former athletes and they come home, and when they come home because they may have failed in other places. I didn't come home that way. You know what I mean? I came home because I had a passion to give back to where I grew up at. I didn't come home because I didn't, I had to go sleep on mama's couch or something. I'm not knocking any, but that's just not my story. I came home because I wanted to be able to give back to my community. Yeah. And so I'm not, being pulled away from that. That's highly unlikely for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and the only reason I say this is because I see, especially in where we in Liberty City right now, right? Yep. So like, we've had people who have been on the ground for years. They get in the seat, we don't see them no more. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And Miami Gardens, it's kind of hard for you to be that way. You know what I'm saying? Because the community is very active and outspoken. Yeah, it is. So, and then, my other question is about like the area. So you'll be in that seat 4 covers that Myrtle Grove area.
That Myrtle Grove, Venetian Gardens. It got the areas like Myrtle Grove, Venetian Gardens, behind the P. If you from the area, behind the P. It got the south side of Bunch Park. From behind the park, behind the lake, that area. In the bottom, if you those areas. So. Yeah.
I think it is, and honestly, truthfully, sitting here talking to you, so y'all know it ain't no, I'm gonna say it. I could say it, but I'm not. But y'all know it ain't no BS with me, right? Yeah. So like, I think you have a well-rounded background with being with the youth and having that financial business background. How would you navigate some of the issues that are currently happening? Like, I know it may not be. I don't think it is in your district, but the whole situation with Venetian Gardens, right?
That is in my district.
That's in your district, right? So how would you navigate that situation with you have development coming in, right? But then you have the needs and the interests of the community on the other hand.
So for me, I'm gonna say this: that first charge, if you're doing this, you are at its very, very, very core, being a council person, you're being elected to be a voice for the people in your community. I'm just the voice for everybody here. You know what I mean? So that's my job. So to be the voice for this for this community. I'm also going to say this, and I think the first thing you got to build is trust with the community, because you got to trust me to say, Rod, you go speak for us, you go represent us. You got also, if I'm going to do that for any of us, you also got to trust me enough that if I come back and say, hey, that this is what it is and this is what we need to do, that you can trust what I'm telling you as well. So it comes with that trust. And if you ask me how I would have navigated that situation, more than anything, for me, navigating it is the first thing I would have done was I would have dealt with our city attorney and the city manager, and I'd have found out legally where we stand. Right? That's the first thing I want to do. Because I'm talking to the community say, we don't want this project here. We don't want this. Okay, fine. We don't want this project. I have to go represent that But if I represented that, and if we can get it out of it, and everybody felt that's best, that's what we would do. But if I come back and say, hey man, it's a fight, we can't win this fight, but we got to get something out of it. Now we got to negotiate. That's when a business person comes in, because every fight is not winnable, but sometimes you can get something out of it. So depending on the scenario and the situation, this is how we would navigate it. But at the very beginning of it is, I want to be a voice for the community. That's my job. So what if you come, our very nature is to say, if we don't want something here, if that's the consensus of this room, whether I agree with it or not, I have to be a voice for us. But now once I go do that, I also got to come back and tell you that what you think is detrimental to your future, that's also being your voice, right? Everything being your voice is not always telling you everything that you want to hear. That's not, we don't need that. So you can't be a yes man to anybody. I'm talking about to people who want to come do things in the community, and people from the community. We have to be honest with,
medium,
you have to me.
So you can't, I always tell people, you can't do it by yourself. But what are some things, and I like that you said that earlier about, your leadership and youth, because that's politics too.
Yes.
And the way
politics.
you explained it,
Yes.
you kept it
but
but it's politics now.
Yes.
So I want to know, what are some things you envision for the city of Miami Gardens, just in your, what would be your district, in your area? What are some things that you envision, and what do you see are some of the things that need to be improved, or it could be improved? Okay,
so I'm gonna say this, right, and I've said in a lot of meetings, I went to a lot of different, community meetings, because I started campaigning for a year. I come from a background, people didn't take me serious at first, so I started doing this for a year, making sure I was seen and listening, holding conversations. And one thing I gathered is that in a lot of these meetings, people come, they ask me, what is it that I want to do, instead of hearing what the community needs? Because if your interview questions to me, if I come to want to work here, and your interview questions to me is all about what I want to do, you can't fire me if I come in. The only thing I do is what I want to do. You understand? And so I have a whole bunch of, now for me walking and knocking on doors, my vision is very, very different than when I started with. You start talking to people in the community. So the first thing I got to do is people care about quality of life, bro. As simple as it may seem, if we just keeping this, when I first had my campaign manager, he might kill me for telling this story, but when we first started talking about, we had this conversation about same thing. Hey man, what are the things that you want to implement in this community? This is what I want to do. And he gave me some things that he thought would be talking points. And I'm telling you, I'm very new into politics. So I'm telling you, like, this man playing me, I think he's trying to make me lose, what he told me. And that's what in my mind, but I say, I'm gonna knock on doors and I'm gonna listen. And what he told me is exactly what people care about, the simpler things. People want speed bumps on their street. People want roundabouts. People want better lighting in their community. They want to make sure that they got a better relationship with code enforcement. They want to make sure that the trees can get cut that's hanging over in their yard. That's what people care about. They want to make sure that the police response time is better, the relationship. That's what people care about. So the first thing that I want to do when I get in is give the people what they want to make their quality of life better. In my district, you got to make sure that, and I'm from this area. And if like Venetian Gardens, they need better lighting. They've been needing better lighting back there since forever. I'm from this area. I didn't just move here. I grew up here. You know what I mean? Myrtle Grove Park is in the area. Myrtle Grove Park is one of the only parks that have been online. They have not renovated the park. The park looked like the park I played on as a kid. You know what I mean? My homeboy broke his arm on that swing set that's there. I'm almost 50. So those things are still there. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to address the immediate needs of the people in the community. And that's quality of life.
Yeah. That you hitting all the marks. I ain't even sitting there bullshit you down. It's like, it says a lot about you, because you like, look, I came in here, I had some things I thought was best, but listening to the people, and I think that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of times, we have these agendas, and then we wonder why they switch up. And I think that's a telltale sign, or a good marker to understand, like, you listening, you hear what everybody's, you know what I'm saying? And your first thing was like, it ain't about me, it's about what other people want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And and the way I look at it, we both play linebacker, right? And if we being a linebacker, you have to kind of like control the defense.
Yes.
You got to know the strengths and the weaknesses. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
when you looking at, you know, taking that into account, what are some of the strengths of Miami Gardens, and what do you see as some of the weaknesses?
So I think Miami Gardens is this. I think our Miami Gardens is the largest black African American community in the state of Florida. It's third largest in the country. I think that I feel like that is a strength for us. That's something that we can build upon. And it's also a welcoming, and it's also a growing diverse black and brown people in that community. And I think that's excellent, and I love it, and I love that it's growing that way, but we also should be proud of what we are. I think that I know that Miami Garden is the sports and entertainment hub of South Florida. That's important. You know, you look at, we have Super Bowls, there are national championships, F1, major tennis matches, soccer is there, concerts, the Dolphins, the Hurricanes, everything happens in Miami Gardens. So those are strengths of the community. That's strong call. Bigger than that, Miami Gardens is an area that Miami Gardens, the infrastructure is really good in Miami Gardens. Miami Gardens don't flood. Like a lot of these other nice areas, they flood.
They flood.
Miami Gardens don't flood. So if you're looking at the long term, that is another very important thing about Miami Gardens. So all those things, Miami Gardens, the previous administration, they have done a great job. Miami Gardens does not have money issues. The city does not have money issues. So all those things are great things about the city of Miami Gardens. Now, I think what Miami Gardens can get better at, which some of the weaknesses, I feel like Miami Gardens has to grow. We need to take more advantage of those things that I just mentioned, all those events that happen. I feel like the people, the residents of Miami Gardens should benefit more from the things that are happening in the city. I think that definitely has to happen in the city of Miami Gardens. It has to modernize the city of Miami Gardens. So those things are some of the weaknesses that I see in the city that has to improve. Affordability has to improve. That goes without saying. Just home ownership, living affordability has to improve in the city of Miami Gardens as well.
That leads to my next question about like your views on economic development and what does that look like, or what's your approach to that? Because everybody has a different way of viewing it. You good? Everybody got a different way of viewing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what is your, so to speak, like approach to it? You know, when it comes to economic development.
Man, so for me, you got some time? You want to hear it?
I got time. Plan. You got time. Do you got time?
So for me, man, it's
because the reason I ask is because you come from that finance and business background.
Yeah.
So sometimes we see things in a different light.
So I do. I think that the city has to, and I'm continuing to say this because I'm watching what happened. The city has to modernize and grow.
And what does that mean?
So
what do you mean by that?
What do I mean by that? So I watch what happened here. Watch what happened in Overtown. I watch what happened in Liberty City. I watch what's happening in Wynwood. What happened in Alapata. Those areas. Those areas are all modernizing and growing. You know, from development in other areas, they're growing. That change is going to come to Miami Gardens. Yes. I just want to be, and if we are South Florida people, we understand what I mean when I say we can look down the street and say, boy, the rain coming. We see it. It ain't got to us yet, but we all see it. You know, we see the rain coming. We see it. It's coming. The rain coming. Boy, you got about 20 minutes. We see the rain dropping, and we see it in Miami Gardens. I'm watching the rain come. I'm watching. I know what's going to happen. I want to make sure that we can benefit from that, and so that's where a lot of economic growth comes from. As the development happens, I want to make sure the people in my community are part of that. I want to make sure that we're a part of that. So that comes in a few different areas. For me, is I want to make sure that every person in the city of Miami Gardens. This is, now you're talking about what Rod want to do. You know, we first talked about I have to give the community what the community needs, and if I'm able to give the community what the community needs, now it allows me and give me time to pull a bigger picture that I see, and that's now growing and developing more of our students or our residents in a few different areas. Number one, for those who went to college, we find funds and dollars to help them to do that. If you graduate from a school in the city of Miami Gardens, I want to make sure if you graduate from high school and you're a resident of Miami Gardens, you got an opportunity to go to college. I want to find those dollars to make sure that happens in the city of Miami Gardens. I'm not, what I'm saying is it's not, it's happening in other places. I know other cities that already have that. I want to bring that to Miami Gardens. But everybody don't want to go to college. College is not for everybody. So those who don't go to college, I want to make sure that we develop our skilled labor in the city of Miami Gardens. And that's real important because we need those carpenters, we need those plumbers, we need those electricians. I want people like us to that look like you and I to get back to that, because when that growth happens in Miami Gardens, I want to be able to say that, hey, you want to build build something here in the city, you got to hire the people that live here in the city. I want to be able to say that, but that's going to take the responsibility on all of us, because after I say they want to hire, I fight to get us a part of this growth. We got to be prepared to do it as well. You know what I mean? So I want to start to now prepare us for that. I want to start programs that we start to develop more skilled labor in our city as well. So now we can be a part of that growth. That's real economic development. Those are real changes that we can do within the community and help us, you know, the change what happens in our community. Also, you talk about us growing. That is being smart, responsible growth within the city. The way we build communities, what we do from housing, you know, it's only so much that we'll be. I'm driving here and you going vertical, so we're going to have to go vertical in some places, and going vertical is going to allow us to control, or to kind of control where we are from affordability standpoint. We all understand supply and demand, so you increase the supply, you know, you lessen the demand, the prices go down. So we can control the prices a little bit. So I want to make sure we do that. I want to make sure as we develop, as we grow, that we mandate workforce housing, and we're serious about it. We put real language that helps and protects that we have workforce housing for people in the community. So all those things that we're talking about for economic development for myself, that's what it looks like for me.
Yeah. So I like all those points. And as a, you know, Miami Gardens, I always say it has so much potential, especially with the tax base and everything that it has. From, you know, we talk about the Dolphin Stadium, all the things that's happening over there. And there's been so much growth, but I think it's been one concentrated area, you know, and that's why I asked you about the development. But as you develop, like you said, it got to be smart growth. You can't build all these buildings and put all this concrete down and we ain't got no trees.
Got no trees,
You know what I'm saying? And I like what you said also about education. You know, the first thing being education, because if you're not, you know, we know education, you can look on Bureau of Labor Statistics right now, it's going to tell you where you at. You know what I mean? So, man, it's great to hear these things from you and go there. I'm sitting there trying to, like, map other questions in my head, but you just, like, hitting all the questions that I have, because like, it's so important that you have people that listen. You know, over the course of, like, the last couple of years, I've been paying attention to Miami Gardens, and it just seemed like residents stay going down there saying they don't want something, and then it gets voted against, and it's like, it don't make no sense to me. It don't, and it's like kind of why we're in the situation we're in now, where it's like everybody's running like, nope, we want it. You know what I mean? And so, where do you see the future of, I guess, youth sports in the city, and what are some things you're trying to do around that, just in your area? Are you going to expand it? How would you?
So for me, and we play ball, man. So if you ask me about youth sports in the city, I would like to see youth sports look more diverse, right? Everybody not a football player. Everybody not a football player, and we focus so much on football. Everyone not a football player. It's so many other avenues for our kids to be involved in. And I say this because I think we are so focused on now that our goal is, oh, my kid playing to go to college at 7 and 8. Well, us, football was just an outlet, man. It was something for us to be with our friends, to have fun, and we got to get back to that on some level. Yeah, we're gonna be competitive. Yeah, we want to win. We want to beat the city. The city want to beat Cherry, but it wasn't. We didn't have every mom and dad on the sideline pushing the child to say he got to go to college doing this, because some kids just want to play and have fun. And there's so much that if you meet somebody else who play football, we're different. You could tell we're different because you had to learn how to deal with adversity. You know, we had to learn to deal with it. We had to learn how to be goal oriented. You had to learn to deal with a lot of things playing the game. And there's so much the game can teach you in sports in general. So we need to get back to that on some level. Yes, I want to win. And I've won more than anybody else in the history of youth sports in South Florida. By far, I won more national championships than anybody in over across every league. And so, and I also say, and I'm proud of that, but I also know it's a place that some kids just want to have fun, bro. And we got to also cultivate that. And we also got to find ways to get our kids in other sports. Soccer is big. Like, we can dominate soccer. Baseball, for whatever, the city used to be big in baseball, you know what I mean? And like now baseball is just about disappeared in our community, which is crazy. everybody can't play football, and I think we got to get back to getting our kids in some other sports. I got a daughter that's a gymnast. My daughter's a level 10 gymnast. She'll probably go to college to do it, and so those are different arenas. Everybody run track, so to get back to different sports. So that's what I see in the city.
What about? Do you have any goals of now they got the streaming platforms and whatnot? How are you thinking about expanding that arena, like just around sports? Because I got a friend who he was in art. He played football at Crop, and when he graduated, he went to UF, and he started to work for the Dolphins. He's one of the people who helped redesign the Dolphins logo. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? And he's working their market. You know what I'm saying? It's so many other departments around football because it's an ecosystem. As you know. It's an ecosystem. It ain't just one thing.
No,
and then,
it's
especially
huge.
now with the NIL, and I see so many kids, I'd be so concerned. Because they didn't have all of the distractions, in my opinion, that everybody else got. And there's so much pressure on them. I think one of the kids that I'm most impressed by right now is Malachi Tony. Right? Like, because Mally, like, he humble. You know what I'm saying? It's not so much that he humble, but it seemed like he's taking it well.
Very well.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for a young kid, man, that's impressive. He is, another kid is one of my kids was Jeremiah Smith. The same thing. Like
another one.
His level of stardom is different. I went to a game at Ohio State, man, and to go watch him, and it's different. Like, you have to go see it. It's different, bro. Like he needs security to come off the field. Like it's in the way he handles himself and him and his family. And it comes to Mally too, his mom, and just to have that, you could tell the parenting. Parenting is involved. So that's good. But your question, you talked about just, I guess, those alternative views on sports. Man, I ain't as young as I look, so I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not. I don't know a lot about that. As a matter of fact, my son, my oldest is 26, and when he was young, this was years, he was on that. I guess it was Twitch at the time, and he was trying to tell me, let him do this. This was gonna be big, and I'm like, man, if you don't get off that, now he brought that up to me like, look, man, I could have been making it. I'm like, bro, I had no idea. He was trying to tell me, I just couldn't understand. Somebody wanted to watch somebody else play a video game. So it didn't make sense to me, but I do know now I know it's a different world. I know it's opportunities there, and because of my experience with my own kids, I'm open now. I'm more open to different ideas because, like I'm telling you, he was serious about it. He tried to talk to me, and I was like, man, that's stupid. And now I know better. So I'm open to all those things. I don't come in this with an ego. You know what I mean? So I have no ego. I don't have an ego involved in this. I've been successful in every endeavor in life, you know what I mean? So I've been successful in a whole bunch of things, and I've also had my failures, we just being real, I've also had my failures. I had to learn to deal with disappointment, so I don't come in this with an ego, I'm humble, and I had to learn to be humble, so I come in this with a humble spirit. I understand where I'm at with it. I know that I'm fresh in this space, and so I'm open and willing to listen. I'm open to learn. I'm open and willing to work with other people. As long as it comes with respect, because I'm gonna give it and I'm gonna demand mine in return. That's just those things I'm gonna live by. But I'm humble with it, man. So I've had the highs. I've played on large stages. I've had the crowds, and this is not about that for me. I don't need this to be popular. So.
Yeah. So in closing, because I ain't got no more questions. He done answered everything. If you don't get what you're supposed to get off this interview, that's your fault. You looking for something that ain't there. Because I don't. If y'all see, y'all probably ain't gonna be able to see this angle where I'm sitting here like, checking the boxes. Did he hit all it? Because it's not so much about trying to catch you up or anything, but it's more about having a conversation about people who are going to run. This is all this is about. And so I just want to give you the opportunity to make a plea to people who who will be voting. Come with the vote August 18th. August 18th. Why they should vote for you, and different. Why they should vote for you.
I think people should vote for me, number one, because I feel like the community deserves. I know the community deserves leadership that's successful, accountable, and focused on the people that call Miami Gardens home. And that's what I want to do. That's what I am. This election is not about. It's not about promises. It's about trust, and it's about leadership. We need leadership in the city right now. We gotta, and I'm that leadership. I'm from that community. I'm from that area, and I can say I was raised from the area. I come from the dirt. You know, I come from the grounds. We worked hard. I come from that, and I made mistakes. You know, I'm not perfect. I didn't come up perfect. You know, I mean, I came up on the rough side of the mountain. You know, I've had to learn to become this person that's sitting in this seat here. I had to work hard to become this person. I was not always this person. You know, I was that kid. I can understand that kid that's in the community that's running the streets because I did that. You know, and I'm just asking for that support because I can understand. I understand all sides of it. I come from a single family home, teenage parents, and I'm also the same person who have two sons, college graduates in my family. I have 2 degrees. My kids graduated from college. So I can understand the horrors of it, and I can understand what we look at as Black success, family structure success. I have both of them, and I can relate to both sides. So, and I love the community. So I need your vote.
Y'all heard it. Question, need answers, Q&A. Y'all heard it here. Check it out. We'll be available everywhere you can find it. All right? And we out. Peace.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, with some more questions. I don't feel comfortable asking the questions.